you look at all these other genres, and it's just about bringing people in, letting them have immediate fun. As like immediately, it's like, yes, this is fun, and then I will spend more time exploring the more difficult parts of it, the deeper parts of it, after I've had some fun. But I think Street Fighter 6 is going to do this, and I think that Street Fighter might retake the crown, which I think it's sort of lost as like the big main fighting game that everyone thinks of when they hear fighting game genre. I think that there's reason to say that it's up there, but it's not necessarily the king anymore. Do you feel like Street Fighter's the king right now?
I don't feel like Street Fighter is the king, but I do feel like when you look at fighting games, Street Fighter is the name that you talk about. I feel like people are forgetting, or just they're not really respecting Street Fighter, which I don't really understand why. Because I speak to, I know a lot of pro players, and I know a lot of people that are pros, but then I also know a lot of casual. I've got a very casual audience as well, and everyone knows they're at the top of the list. I know people might not agree again, but at the top of the list, it is Street Fighter and Tekken. It's not. I don't think it's Mortal Kombat as such anymore. I feel like Mortal Kombat's like a little bit lower. Maybe in the terms of the story mode aspect, story mode aspect is at the top. But if we're talking about a gameplay, it's always been Street Fighter and Tekken. Everyone knows to be like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like, for me, if you ask me, oh yeah, what's at the top? It'll be Street Fighter and Tekken. Street Fighter is the king of 2D. Tekken is the king of 3D. Like, that's how I've always looked at it. Street Fighter hasn't got good press, and it hasn't got a good reception until, I would say, probably like the last year or two. They've kind of shapeshift the game quite a bit. You know, they added Gil and Seth, and you know, they've added in some characters as well. But then Luke came along, and yeah, it was all going well. You know, you have this date, you're with a girl, you had the honeymoon period, and then you really know what's about them. And that's what Luke was. Luke was like, hey, I'm here. I'm come to destroy everything that was going good. And yeah.
You wake up the next morning and the beer goggles are gone, and it's Luke laying next to you, and you go, what?
It was gone. That's what I'm saying. And I kind of sad because obviously Luke is now the main guy on Street Fighter 6. And it's like, this guy just ruined Street Fighter 5 though. Like, was this an intention? Like, ruin Street Fighter 5, yeah, yo, forget about that game, jump into Street Fighter 6. I don't know, man. Their marketing strategies are kind of crazy over there. I don't know.
Crazy or potentially brilliant, depending on how Street Fighter 6 goes. We'll see. So the Luke army is coming. We're just witnessing it. So.
Oh man, that character ruined Street Fighter 5, man.
Do you feel like that momentum is really going to do a number on Street Fighter 6, or do you think it just really comes down to how he'll play in Street Fighter 6, and people will wait to pass judgment until they experience Street Fighter 6 Luke?
To be perfectly honest with you, I feel like Street Fighter 6, not many people are playing Luke. So obviously we have had like loads of like hands-on with loads of different type of people. We've got Maximilian that's done his type of stuff. We have a couple other people that have got their YouTube channels, and no one's really picking Luke. Everyone's kind of gone over to like maybe Ryu, Ken, Jury, Kimberly, but Luke is that character that like, no one really wants to mess with Luke. Like, they're like, yo, we already had enough of him in Street Fighter 5. We don't want to touch him. And I'm like, bro.
That's interesting too, because I don't disagree with you. In a lot of the footage that you see, he's not the most popular. And then if you think about it, the wisdom on the street would be that you would make this character especially good at the end of Street Fighter 5 so that everybody and their mother plays him, and then there's that momentum to flow over into Street Fighter 6. But if what you're saying is true, then maybe that's actually ironically backfired on them, and them, like, you know, surging Luke with all of these abilities and these powers have made him just like, as the potential main character of Street Fighter 6, not have that much momentum, which is interesting.
I'm kind of worried about Luke though, because like looking at his outfit and everything in Street Fighter 5, he looked like a cool character. I wasn't too sure about their face and hair design. I was just like, and the tattoo. And then they kind of like went back on themselves and said, oh, we're going to print it on a t-shirt. It was a bit like, I didn't really understand it. But then when I look at his outfit now, I'm just like, is this our main character? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it looks like he's in gym gear, but he's got his feet out, and
yeah,
it's just all over the place at the minute. And then there's other things as well that I was looking at, for example. Like, so he's kind of the guy that's trying to bring on the new guy. So like when you do World Tour, he's the one that's kind of like saying, hey, like, come hang out with us and train in the gym or whatever. And then like you got to fight. What's his name? Bosch? Is it like the drill thing? Yeah, Bosch.
Yeah,
I've been calling him
like
Gary.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Because he looks like, your rival from Pokemon. I'm dating myself a little bit there, but
Yeah, no. I was thinking, kind of. I can see where you're going with it. But yeah, like, obviously you have to fight him, and it's kind of like, it looks cool for the aspect, but then I feel like he just looks better in Street Fighter 5. And I have an odd feeling, because I want to talk about this in a separate thing, but like, I have an odd feeling that he's going to turn out to be like Alex in Street Fighter First Strike. Because obviously, they replaced Luke. They replaced Ryu with Alex in Street Fighter 3.
Mm-hmm.
But no one really cares about Alex like that. Like, and being honest, I'm just being honest. I like Alex as a character and the way how he looks and the dungaree hanging off it. Looks cool and trendy. But he just wasn't that guy in First Strike, And then now we've got Luke. And that's why I'm thinking the whole kind of, make him mad strong in Street Fighter 5 and then, they will play him in Street Fighter 6. I don't know if that was the strategy. Do you know what I mean? You've kind of got a head start to know who is that guy in Street Fighter 6. But yeah, I'm not really feeling the design. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's Ryu and Chun-Li transcend Street Fighter in terms of their popularity. Like, people who just know video games in general know Ryu and Chun-Li, but you start getting into characters like Alex and Luke and you go, maybe you know them, but it's unlikely that you do. And it's an interesting choice for Capcom, and I hope they figure it out. What we've heard so far is that Luke and Ryu are going to be co-protagonists, but, we'll see, because, again, Luke is featured very prominently in this. It's always an interesting choice to go in that direction and bring in a new IP, a new character, and see if you can build them up to where the community and people in general love them. It's a hard challenge, but we'll see. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
there's another component of Street Fighter 6 that we haven't really seen in Street Fighter before, and that's the level of customization that's available. Now, you've been playing a decent bit of Tekken 7 in your day. There's some customization there. I want to ask, from your point of view, how big of an impact did the ability to create your own character have on Tekken 7?
So you can create so Tekken 7 never had create your own.
Not create your own, make a character with visually, yeah.
All right, cool. We're going to talk about this because this is another funny situation. I know I'm making you laugh here, so I'm sorry, but like...
Oh, no, Akuma with the shotgun, man. Get into it. Let's do this.
I remember Akuma with the shower. That's stuck in my mind. That was like 6 years ago. I don't remember who was playing him, but I remember he had a shower thing.
Oh, it's probably Akuma when he done the raging demon and he had the shower cap over his head.
I did his story on it in a Starbucks one day. I remember all of that, but I don't remember what the... Anyways, you were answering a question.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with all of that customization, but they felt tied it in. But yeah, no, so Tekken 7, we've always complained I would say as a collective, because Tekken 7 lacked a lot of customization. One thing that I feel like Tekken Tag 2 done best with a lot of these games is customization. Like, we had people that dedicated YouTube channels for customizations for characters. So like, there would be stuff like Naruto, like costume for characters, or Dragon Ball Z, and they would show you like the numbers and stuff you need to add, the colors and all of this stuff, and everyone would just go on their channel and be like, yo, like, this is sick, like, this looks good, I want to use that, and they will put it out for the community. Now no one does that. It's not been around for like seven years, and it's like, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about content. Like, there's no content for Tekken outside of tournaments and players being really good. Like, for me, for example, when I put out like a ranked match or something, I know I'm gonna get views. That's easy for me to do that because I know people will like to watch what I do, and I have like the personality as well. But there's not much for me to do in terms of Tekken content, so that's why it kind of goes dry, and it's like, all right, well, we can watch a stream, but then it's like the streamers and players are getting bored of it because it's just the same old. Once you hit that top ceiling with your character, what else can you do? You can't do anything. So I feel like customization should be a lot better in Tekken 8. So just so that those customization channels come back, I feel like Street Fighter are doing the right thing in terms of creating your own character. Like, that's taking it a next level. Like, you can create your own character, the way how he looks, skin color, eyes, nose, mouth, what they wear, go around interacting with characters in the World Tour mode. Flawless. That's next level. And what it reminds me of is, I might be showing my age a tad bit here, but it kind of reminds me of a game called Tobal 1 and Tobal 2.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite fighting games of all time. I think it's way ahead of time.
Wow.
The game, the grapple system, everything, and not only that quest mode where you're going around fighting animals and all these type of things, like they're doing it now. Like World Tour mode is basically that. You're going around free roaming, running around. Like, I would love to document that game one day, man, because that game is way ahead of its time, and I don't think people see how much these single player modes make such a difference. Because if I'm talking about that game, which was like in 1990 whatever, now in 2022, that shows how much of an impact it has on me up until this day. Whereas I can't talk about Street Fighter 5 in probably the next 5 years compared to Street Fighter 6, because Street Fighter 6 is probably going to have great gameplay, which I've played and I love it, but then on top of it you have all these other modes. So then what's the point talking about Street Fighter 5, because there's not really much outside of the gameplay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tobal number 1 is actually made by Square, or at least the publisher on the game, and it was one of the more original fighting games for the PlayStation. The original PlayStation is like way old school. I remember seeing quite a bit about it, and it's amazing how if you create the right kind of gameplay and aspects to it's timeless. It can hold up throughout, and it's just like people need to kind of look back at the stuff that's been very successful in the fighting game community, not just online play and ranked as you're saying, but really getting into those single player modes. Something I've remarked about too, that Street Fighter 6 feels like a return to Street Fighter 4, where there was a lot of hype and momentum, and it wasn't just about going online and playing that way. It was all the different modes, all the characters coming back, how their moves translated, all that other kind of stuff. Such a refresh and a reinvigoration of what fighting games previously were, but it delivered top to bottom on the content and things, which is really important.